Okay, let's pick it up on page 390. Okay, this is page 390. And here we have the first incident, page 388. Page 388 at the bottom. Page 388 at the bottom. So the Torah goes through the whole story about the manna and eating the manna and everything else. And then it picks up on page 388 towards the bottom. Now let's get a look at this and see what transpires here. So it says like this: Vayisu kol adas b'nei Yisrael midbar sin l'masayim. They travel from midbar sin. Page 388 at the bottom. Al pi Hashem. Vayachanu b'Refidim. They camp in a place called Refidim. Ve'ein mayim lishtos ha'am. And again, there's a water shortage. So top of the page. Vayorev ha'mi Moshe vayomer lanu tinu lanu mayim v'nishta. Give us water. Vayomer lehem Moshe matarivu nimodi. What are you fighting with me? Matanasu Hashem. Why are you testing Hashem? So the people get thirsty, and they say, what did you know? Vayitzba shavam lamayim. The people get thirsty. Vayolen am al Moshe. They start complaining. Mr. Fogel, please sit over here. Vayolen am al Moshe. Vayomer lama zeh lisonu mimitzrayim lama zosiv ezbanei v'zmikdai batzama. Why is it that you have brought us up from Mitzrayim to kill me and my children with thirst? Page 390. Vayitzak Moshe el Hashem leimor ma'aseh lo mazeh od matu skoluni. What should I do? They're about to stone me. So he says, so Hashem will read a few more psukim. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe alvor lifnei ha'am v'kach itcha min ziknei Yisrael. Pass before the people. Hashem, this was Hashem's way of Moshe Rabbeinu saying, watch, you walk in front of them, they won't stone you. You've just badmouthed them for no reason. Umatcha asher yikisa bo yorkach b'yadcha v'lachta. Take the staff in your hand. I'm going to be at the rock at Chorev, 4 lines from the bottom, 5 lines from the bottom, page 380 and 390. The Kisa Batsur, you'll hit the rock. V'yatsu mimenu mayim, water will come out. V'shasa ha'am, the first time with the rock, he's told, hit the rock. Ben, you could join us, there's plenty of room here. Vayas kein Moshe leinei ziknei Yisrael. Moshe does that in front of all of Yisrael. He goes and he hits the rock. Okay, so the first time he's told hit the rock, and the water will come out by hitting the rock. And then it's later on in the Torah that Moshe Rabbeinu is told to speak to the rock, and he hits the rock the second time. Okay, we'll discuss that when we get there. Now, this is the key pasuk over here. I want you to see this inside. 4 lines from the bottom. Vayikra shema makom masa umariva. He names the place Masa Umariva, which translates to fighting and quarreling. Al Riv b'nei Israel, for the Jewish people having quarreled. Val nasosam es Hashem, they tested Hashem. Lemor hayesh Hashem b'kirbeinu imayim. Is Hashem in our midst or not? Okay, there they are. Is Hashem with us or not? They come complaining. And again, the Jewish people are not taken to task for the request. The request is reasonable. But there's asking and there's the way you ask. There's your wife saying to you, may I have the credit card, right? And there's your wife saying to you, can I have some money already? You never give me money. There are 2 different things. Either way she's going to end up with a credit card. One way you're unhappy, the other way you're more unhappy, right? Anytime you surrender up money to her, you're going to be unhappy. So there's just how you ask for things. You can ask and you can ask. What do you ask? Okay, you're thirsty. Come and say, we need water. Moshe Rabbeinu, please, we need water. Versus, what did you take us out here? You want to kill us? Okay, what are you getting? So there's an implied, we've been abandoned type of thing. So the Torah concludes over here and says, well, they tested Hashem by saying, is Hashem in our midst or not? Okay, look at the very next 2 words. Vayovo Amalek. Amalek comes. Vayilachem im Yisrael b'Refidim. Amalek battles with Klal Yisrael. Now, this Amalek, first of all, was not under any threat. The reason we have a historical imperative, we have a command from the Torah, destroy Amalek. One day we're going to have to destroy Amalek when the Beis Hamikdash, we have to wipe out any vestiges of Amalek. Okay, why do you have to kill Amalek? There's what difference between a war where you're in self-defense. We're coming towards your country, so you ride out to battle us, to defend against us. Okay, you have a right. You're under threat, so somewhat you have a right, either surrender or fight. Amalek, it would be roughly the equivalent. Picture a map of the United States. We're traveling from New York to Florida. Somebody's traveling from New York to Florida, and then somebody rides in from Indiana and meets us on the way to start fighting with us. We're not threatening you. We're going from New York to Florida. What are you coming in from Indiana to fight with? Amalek got involved in a fight. Amalek got involved in a fight which wasn't their fight. Amalek got involved in a war which had nothing to do with them. What are you hacking for? What are you getting involved? So you started up. We'll see what Amalek is about in a second, what Amalek really represents. But you understand, first, before anything else, picture the Jewish people. The Jewish people have just been shown they're on an 11-game winning streak. 11-game winning streak. They've had 10 plagues and the tearing of the splitting of the sea. The world has been shown, without a question, that there is a God who is supervising the world. Okay? Now, comes along Amalek, and Amalek is upset about this. Stop with the God nonsense. Stop with it. Yeah, so how do you explain it? Okay, they got hot. Okay, they're on a streak. We could fight them. When Mike Tyson was at his peak, and when Mike Tyson was fighting with his fists instead of his mouth at his peak, he was beating people up. You lasted a round, 2 rounds. Next thing you know, you're in an iron lung. He was just destroying people. Nobody in their right mind is going to mess with him. One guy gets in the ring with him, gets pummeled, but he gets in one shot. He gets in one shot. He got lucky. He got in one shot. That one shot breaks there's an aura of invincibility around him. One shot and you've broken the aura. Amalek is compared to a bunch of people who are standing around a boiling hot mikveh. You ever been to the mikvahs here in Israel? Okay? Some of these mikvahs, you go into these mikvahs, you come out red as a tabeta. You ever been to and I'm talking about the every mikvah. I'm talking about the ones in Mea Sharm over there. You ever been to the Mea Sharm mikvahs over there? You go in there, they got 3 levels of water: hot, hotter, and hottest. I remember once before I was married, I went to one of the mikvahs up there in Mea Sharm by Dushinsky. So they got 3 pits. It looks like dragon fumes coming out of the 3. All you see is steam coming out of these mikvahs. So there's one that's like cool. That's the cold one, and there's a middle one, and there's a hot one. So I decided, okay, let's be brave. Let's try the hot one. I'm putting my foot in. I couldn't go in. I could go near it. This little old guy, probably 147 years old, little Siddish guy, comes walking past me, just walks down the stairs, and all you hear is, as his body gets cooked, and he goes into the mikveh, and he looks up, he yells at the guy, the mikveh, he yells at me, Feivel, what's this kind of heiß? Why isn't it hot today? the guy looks like a tomato over there, and he's yelling. The water's not hot enough. So you got people standing around a boiling hot. This is not my comparison. Rashi brings down, it's a medrash. Everybody's standing around a boiling hot cauldron. Everybody's afraid to jump in. One guy jumps in and he gets burnt. But what does he do? He cools off the water. The water's cooled off. Something outside jumps in, he's hot, he gets burnt, but it cools off the water. The Jewish people they're hot. They're on a winning streak. Nobody is going to mess with them. Amalek starts up with them over here. Amalek's going to take a beating over here, but they cooled them off. They could bleed too. They could get hit also a little bit. You've broken the aura of invincibility. What's bothering Amalek here? What's really bothering Amalek? Amalek doesn't like the idea that there's a world with divine supervision. Again, what's at stake over here? There is a God. God created the world. That does not threaten me. I couldn't care less if God created the world or not. Great, God created the world. Fine, what's it got to do with me? But if God's involved in the day-to-day running of the world, what we call hashgacha pratis, which is what this demonstration was of miracles, that means I've got responsibilities. That I don't want. So what's Amalek's approach to life? It's all an accident. The world runs on chance. Who is the epitome of Amalek that we see in Jewish history in Tanakh? Who's the famous Amalekite? We're coming up towards it, gentlemen.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Haman the Amalekite. How does Haman determine what date Chance. He draws lots. He throws dice, whatever. He casts a lot. It's all chance. It's all what's it called? A fate. It has nothing to do with God. Leave God out of the picture. That's who Amalek is. Okay? So what is it that Amalek does? What are they really looking to do? They're taking something which is a certainty at this point. Everybody's certain there's a God running the world. And what does Amalek do? They cast a doubt into that certainty. That's the nature of Amalek. The idea of killing Amalek. We have to destroy Amalek, men, women, children, any age. That's at the physical level. You know what that really symbolizes? We have to destroy any Amalek within us, no matter how small. We have a little doubt. You have a 99. I'm pretty sure there's a little doubt. That's Amalek getting you. Anytime we doubt God's involvement in our life, that's Amalek. That's spiritual Amalek. That's what we have to destroy. We destroy physical Amalek because they represent evil. They have no chance. We have no chance against physical Amalek. They have no chance to do good. But at a deeper level, there's spiritual Amalek, which is every little doubt in us. Now, you want to see something remarkable? Look what the Jewish people said. The Jewish people said, the last line the Jewish people said, why does Moshe Rabbeinu, 2 lines from the bottom, he calls the place Masa Umariva, because the Jewish people said, Hayesh Hashem b'kirbeinu im ayin. Is Hashem in our midst or not? Which means the Jewish people had doubts. You have a doubt? Look what comes. Vayava Amalek. Here comes Amalek. You want a doubt? It's almost like the proverbial thought. By the way, take a look at the numerical value of the word Amalek. Ayin is 70. Ayin, the letter Ayin is 70. Mem is how much? 40. What are we up to? 110. Lamed is how much? 30. So what are we up to? 100 and 140. Kuf is how much? 100. So what are we at? 240. 240 is the numerical value of Amalek. The Hebrew word suffix, which is doubt, is 240. Amalek equals doubt. Amalek equals doubt. And that's exactly what their life is. Their life is to create a doubt in whether or not HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Suffix is samech is 60, pei is 80, is 140, and another kuf is 240. Amalek and suffix is the exact numerical value. That's the essence of Amalek, is a great doubt. It's almost like the proverbial father. Did you ever get it when you were young? Didn't you ever walk around the house whining or fetching or something? Your father says, want to cry? I'll give you something to cry about. Didn't your father ever say that? Didn't he go to father's school? They all went to the same school. I never did it to my kids. I never said that because I promised myself when I was a kid I wouldn't do it. I also promised I would never make a big deal about electricity lights left on. I don't run around here, turn off lights. Am I the only one who turns off lights? I've done it. Yeah. When you're making the money and nobody turns off lights, you do it. I failed that one. You come home and did anybody turn off? I don't want to care about lights. And the whole house. Dad, chill out. Make a calculation. If we left on every light switch all month, and it cost us exactly $11. For $11 you do, and every day the father comes in, am I the only one around here who turns off lights? I turn off lights. My father used to make me walk up 2 floors to turn off light. Then turn off the light. Yeah, he called me up. He says, Dov, you didn't. He's upstairs. He's right by the light switch. You didn't close the light switch. I have to walk up 2 flights of stairs, and I was careful. I'd come up and say, anybody, do you still need the light on in your room? That's what I do in my house. Do you still need do you need the light on? She's in the living room. No, so I just turn it off. I should, but I don't. But I do fetch about it. Hey, am I the only one who cares? You know why? It's not even the money. It's not even the money. It's the fact that you're out there working in Israel, they say everybody in Israel works 2 jobs and does something on the side. So you're working your neshama out, then you come home, you don't care. They just don't care. It's just like, am I in this alone? And there's a chill out, Dad. He's sitting on the couch eating another ice cream. Just relax, Dad. Exactly. So that I've done. But I've never done this. Want to cry? I'll give you something to cry about. That I never did. But your fathers did it, didn't they? Right? Want to cry? I'll give you something to cry about. Or if I walked around the house, I'd say, Dad, I have nothing to do. You got nothing to do? You want me to give you something to do? No. I'll find something to do. I'll definitely find something to do. So this is almost the proverbial father. Oh, you want to doubt? You want to doubt? You don't know if I'm with you or not? Here, I'll give you a doubt. Very next sentence. Here comes the ultimate doubt. You have a doubt? I'll give you a doubt. Here comes Amalek. Now, let's understand what's going on with Amalek. Later on, we're going to find this idea, which I'm sure you've heard, that we have an obligation to destroy Amalek. Okay, we have an obligation to destroy Amalek. You find a parsha Kiseitze. Turn for a second all the way to Kiseitze. I'll show you the last pasuk. We read this on Purim, page 1066. So it says like this. The very last pasuk in the parsha. It says 4 lines from the bottom. When God lets you off your enemies around you. When in the land which Hashem gives you as an inheritance. Timche es zecher Amalek mitachas hashemayim. Blot out the memory of Amalek. Lo tishkach, do not forget. That's a Torah command that if you come across an Amalekite, you have to kill him. Every Amalekite has to be killed. Men, women, children, animals. The sin of Shaul. Hold all questions for a little while, but anyway. The sin of Shaul was that he was told by the prophet Shmuel to kill Amalek, and he didn't kill Amalek. He left King Agag alive, and the King Agag stayed alive long enough to impregnate a maidservant, and then that was the continuation. That's why Haman is called in the Megillah Haman Ha'agagi. Haman Ha'agagi, because it comes from King Agag. And we have an obligation to wipe them out. Okay, let me ask you a question. There's a theoretical question, hypothetical question. Imagine you're in Austria, and around, I'm guessing about 1895, and you're walking on the streets of Austria. There's a woman, she's pushing a baby carriage. There's a little baby in the carriage. And baby's crying, the mother says, now Adolf, don't cry. Right, and you stick your face in, and there's little baby Adolf, and he waves to you. Right, and he's got baby, he's already got a mustache over there, that little ridiculous looking mustache, and he's got a mustache, and he waves to you, and the mother says, "Now Adolf, don't cry." And at that moment, you what do you call it? At that moment, for the first and only time in your life, you experience a prophecy. Right then, you have a prophecy, and the prophecy is that you have a chance right now to kill this baby. If you don't kill this baby right now, only you, then he will do exactly what he did. That's your prophecy. It's now or never. Right? Interesting question, right? What do you think you would or should do? Would and should are not necessarily the same thing. What do you think and it's a prophecy. There's no question. You did not, it's not a, what do you call it? It's not an illusion. It's not some sort of the nature of authentic prophecy is that you had prophecy, like Moshe Rabbeinu had prophecy, and Shmuel HaNavi, and Eliyahu HaNavi. You had prophecy, and you're told this is what he's going to do. What do you think that under the circumstances you should do? Okay? Should there be a preemptive strike or not? Yes or no? All I want is a yes or no. How many of you think yes?
Well, is he directly to kill the baby? Or
he is going to do exactly what he did.
But is he directly to kill the child?
Is he what? Yes, you have 2 choices. You have 2 choices. Either kill him yourself, take a gun and shoot him, or don't shoot him, but then he will do 100% what he would. How many of you think yes? Just a show of hands.
Kill him.
How many of you think no? Okay, good. You said yes and no.
I changed my mind.
You changed your mind? Okay.
Because,
I don't want to know why.
okay.
I didn't ask why. I just want to know how many of you think yes. So at least by a show of hands, we can at least make an argument for yes. There are at least some people who would feel yes. I understand some people who feel no. That's not my point. The Torah is telling you, the Torah is prophecy. The Torah is telling you, kill Amalek. The Torah is telling you, the Torah is prophecy. Remember, this blue book is prophecy. Not all prophecy is blue, but this book is prophecy because this is given to Moshe Rabbeinu in prophecy. And Moshe Rabbeinu is telling us. The Torah is saying, kill Amalek, because if you don't, they're going to try to kill you, both physically and spiritually. Is there a chance any Amalekite will convert? Is there a chance? The Gemara says Haman had descendants who taught Torah in Bnei Brak. Haman had descendants who learned Torah in Bnei Brak. Okay? Hold everything. Stick with what I'm saying. And I'm not interested in anything off to the side right now. I'll get to you later. Let's just understand. I'm just telling you what. Whether you will like hearing the what or don't like hearing the what, I don't always like hearing things either. Especially, can I have the credit card? But I'm just telling you the what right now. The what is, that's what the Torah is telling you, and therefore we have an obligation to destroy Amalek, because if they don't, they are going to destroy us. Is there a chance any of them will convert? We don't live based on chance, we live based on likelihood. The Torah is telling you the likelihood. Could there be strange things? There were Roman emperors who converted. Nebuzaradan, who destroyed and killed millions of Jews, eventually converted to Judaism. That's what the Gemara says. So could things happen? A lot of things could happen. What's likely to happen? The Torah is telling you this is your obligation because that's what's going to happen. Okay? Now, let's go back to where we were. So they start battling Klal Yisrael. I'll get to all the questions in a little while. They start battling to Klal Yisrael. What does Moshe Rabbeinu do? We got to go out and fight Amalek now. Vayomer Moshe el Yehoshua. Moshe says to Yehoshua, Bechar lanu anoshim, take men, v'tzei hilochem b'Amalek. Go out and fight Amalek. Page 392, back to 392. Take men and go out and battle with Amalek. Mochar anochi nitzav arosh hagiva. I will be on top of the mountain. Umatei halakim the God's staff will be in my hand. Okay? Now, let's look at the next pasuk, and then we'll try to understand what's going on here. Vayas Yoshua kasher amar lo Moshe lilochei ba'Amalek. Yoshua does what Moshe says. Umoshe, Aaron, v'chur alu rosh hagiva. Moshe, Aaron, and Chur go up to the top of the mountain. Now, I think anybody who learns that, reads that pasuk, you read Yoshua, okay. Moshe, Aaron, Chur. Who? Chur. Right? Where did he come? Who's Chur? Moshe, Aaron, I've heard of. Yeshua, I've heard of. Chur, who's Chur? Says Rashi. Chur, says Rashi, Binoshel Miriam Haya. He's the son of Miriam. Moshe's nephew. Because really, logically, who should really go up there? Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam. But in Judaism, women do not go out in public, do not stand in a public place. It's not sneeze. So who's the next best thing? Chur, her son Chur. Okay. So Chur goes up there with Moshe, Aaron, and Chur go up to the top of the mountain. Okay. And they have this battle, and Yeshua weakens them, and Moshe's hands are up in the air. What's going on here? So let's try to understand, and we'll understand the life fundamental here, and we'll understand what this battle with Amalek is, and so on and so forth. Any avera that a person does, according to Pirkei Avos, any misdeed, has to come from one of three traits. What are they? One of three traits are always the catalyst. Sometimes a combination. Sometimes it could be all three. What does the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos say?
Desire.
Hakina.
Anger.
Ve'ataiva. Ve'akavod. Motziin es ha'adam mina olam. Envy. Desire, physical desire, in the pursuit of honor, take a person out of the world. Envy, physical desire, and the pursuit of honor. Any avera that a person does, any misdeed that we do, is rooted in one of those things. Anger is rooted in the pursuit of honor. When you get angry, it's because you're not in control, which is you want to be in control. That's part of honor. If we eat things that are not kosher, that's obviously part of taiva. If a person behaves immorally, it's part of taiva. And sometimes it could be rooted with kavod, the conquest, and certainly the motivation that we have in life that we are envious of each other. I have to one-upmanship, whatever he is, I'll have to get a little better than him. I'm jealous of him. I'll buy a better car so he could eat his heart out and see my car, and then you what do you call it? Biggie. Biggie and what's the other guy? Tupac and Biggie. If Tupac dropped Biggie or Biggie dropped Tupac or ever dropped the Tupac, I just remember Tupac sounds like a two-pack of beer. That's if one dropped the other one, what? I mean, they got all the money in the world. So what are they fighting about? It's obviously the pursuit of honor, jealousy, whatever it is, taiva. Even though these guys probably are walking Musar Safers, but they're walking in the other direction. That's what they're walking. So it all is rooted in that. Now, in a world where there's no God, what is their point of life? Kina, taiva, and kavod. In an Amalek world, if Amalek dominates the world, so then what's the point of life? There's no point of life. There's no point of life. There's no God. So you may as well have a good time. Well, a good time is rooted in either kina, envy, taiva, desire, or the pursuit of honor. That's what you're going to end up in an Amalek world. Isn't that what's going to happen? If there's no God, so then my motivation is what I want, my selfishness, what my desires are. I want one-upmanship. That's what it's going to be. That's what you're going to end up with. In a world where there's no God, every single act is going to be rooted in one of those areas. Either envy, desire, or the pursuit of honor. Every single thing you could think of is gotta fit one of those categories, sometimes more than one combined. In a world where there is God, so then obviously it's the opposite. What's the opposite of envy? What's the opposite of envy? Chesed, kindness. Envy means I resent other people, and kindness means I'm concerned about other people. In a world where there's God, I have to control myself. Taiva means I'm out of control. I have physical desires. My base desires are unleashed. How do we control our desires? There's only one way to get our desires under control. You know what the formula is? It's a book called Torah. Right? Torah. Torah is the way we get ourselves. By studying Torah, we control our evil inclination. So it's the opposite of taiva. What's the opposite of kavod? Kavod means my personal honor. You know what the opposite of kavod is? Avoda, serving Hashem. I have to submit to the will of God, whether it's in prayer, whether it's doing mitzvahs. I don't want to put on tzitzis. Hashem said you should, so I do. So what the opposite of kina, taiva, and kavod is Torah, avoda, and gemilus chasadim. Remember those two? That's what's at stake over here. That's the battle. The battle, Amalek is kina, taiva, kavod. The opposite, the Jewish people, are Torah, avoda, and gemilus chasadim. That's the ideal life. If there is a God, this is what we do. If there's no God, this is what we do. And the three are polar opposites of each other. They are exactly parallel to each other on the opposite extremes. Therefore, if there's a battle with Amalek, so what do the Jewish people have to do? Amalek is not only a physical battle, it's the battle of the purpose of life. So what does Moshe Rabbeinu do? He goes up to the mountain. With who? With Aaron and Hur. What does Moshe himself symbolize? Which one of the three does Moshe symbolize? Obviously, Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu brought down the Torah. It's called Torah's Moshe. Zichru Torah's Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu symbolizes Torah. What was Aaron HaKohen's role in the Jewish people? Because he's the Kohen Gadol. He's Avoda. He serves in the Beis Hamikdash. He is Avoda. He is prayer in its highest form. Remember, prayer is a substitute for the sacrificial service. If he's the Kohen Gadol, he is the pinnacle of Avoda. That's what he represents. And Hur is the son of Miriam. What did Miriam do? Miriam was the one who, before he even saved Moshe, she saved Moshe. Even before that, who did she save? The Jewish babies. Remember, Miriam is Bill, what do you call it? The two Jewish midwives. What's that? Shifra and Pua, correct, thank you. She's Pua. Miriam is Pua. Shifra and Pua are Yocheved and Miriam, the ultimate act of chesed. So she can't go up on the mountain, so who does is the next best thing, is her child. Her child represents the mother. So who goes up on that mountain? Torah, Avoda, and Gemilus Chasadim go up on the mountain to counter the Amalek influence of Kina, Taiva, and Kavod. That's what's going on in this battle here. You have Moshe, Aaron, and Hur on the mountain to fight the Amalek force, because it's really the battle of life, gentlemen. That's the battle of life. The battle is, what are we living for? You're living for Kina, Taiva, and Kavod, or you're living for Torah, Avoda, and Gemilus Chasadim. Obviously, we're living for the latter, but the former interferes with us all the time. That's the ultimate battle. Binyamin, what did you want to ask? Oh, it worked again. How do you like that? Yeah. Go ahead. Just kidding. If you remember, you ask it.
Going back to baby Adolf.
Yeah.
So Hashem, even when Ishmael was starving in the desert and he's going to let him live, the angels say, "Why are you going to let him live for what he's going to do in the future to your people?" And God said He doesn't punish people for what they're going to do in the future.
Right, but that wasn't Ishmael. That was the descendants of Ishmael. It was what he himself wasn't going to do it. It was only his descendants. That would not. But here you have somebody who is himself going to do it. Each one of them is likely going to be, and there are sources that say anytime you see anti-Semitism, somebody who's a vocal anti-Semite, it means that he has Amalek blood in him, because Amalek has been spread to other nations. So he's got Amalek blood in him. So you could be cynical about it, but the Torah is telling you that's what Amalek is. If you accept anything else in the Torah, you could accept this also. If you don't accept this, shouldn't accept anything else. If the Torah says that you're not allowed to eat pork, you'd be an absolute fool to deprive yourself if you question the credibility of the Torah. If the Torah tells you not to eat pork and you're not eating pork because you question it, you're an absolute fool. So either the Torah is right or the Torah is wrong. The person can't catalog this part I don't agree with. Right? A lot of things rub us the wrong way. Pushing a goat off a cliff on Yom Kippur doesn't sit with us that well. But the Torah says that you got to do it. So there are a lot of things. Spending money on an estrog certainly rubs me the wrong way. I don't push that many goats, but I got to spend money on an estrog every year. That also rubs me the wrong way. But listen, either we accept either the Torah is true or it's not. If the Torah is true, so then we have to accept what the Torah says and try to understand it. If the Torah is not true, we certainly can't say, well, this part, Moshe Rabbeinu got this part of the prophecy wrong. Somehow I don't think so. So that part we have to understand. This is a prophecy. You go ahead, Alex.
If you decided to kill Hitler as a baby, so he wouldn't do it, would not somebody else have...
Let's say you were told. I'm just trying to create a hypothetical situation. I'm going to create a hypothetical situation. Let's say nobody else, you're the last, I'm only creating a hypothetical situation. And again, that's only my example, and I may be right and I might be wrong. That's not the point. The point I'm only using is a hypothetical example. It's not a good example that could happen. Probably I was thinking of the example. My wife was talking to me while I was thinking of it, so I got all mixed up. But that could happen. But that's not the point. The point is that if the Torah is telling us that we have an obligation to do something. Nowadays you can't. Nowadays you can't kill, even if somebody's running around with a sign on his head glowing at Amalek. We still can't. We cannot kill Amalek today. But when the base of Mikdash is rebuilt, that is going to be one of the three mitzvahs. We will go into Eretz Yisrael. We have to make a king. When the Mashiach comes, we will make a king. We will build the base of Mikdash, and we will make a king, destroy Amalek, and then build the base of Mikdash. Go ahead, Mike.
Why is killing Amalek only a mitzvah once the base of Mikdash is restored?
Why is it only when the base of Mikdash is restored? Because only then, it's not when the base is when Mashiach comes, because up until that point we do not have the, we do not have the authority to do it. We are under the authority of the other nations, so we're ruled by the land. You can't go kill Amalek. If it's again, you can't plead that in court. There's temporary insanity. And there's Amalek, why did you kill him? Why did you kill him in the tavern? Well, because he's an Amalekite and I'm a Jew, So they may call you temporary insane. We don't have the authority to do it until that point. That's why we can't do it. We cannot go around kill. We don't even have the authority to punish among Jews. Jews are not able to. Beis Din cannot even punish a Jew with punishments that were around time of the Sanhedrin. Okay, yeah, but never quickly.
How come they weren't taught necessarily how to pray? Because they're asking Moshe, like, oh, how come the water isn't there yet? Instead of, hey, you have a direct connection to God, pray. Pray to God directly for what? I'm talking about B'nai Yisrael.
Why did they complain, you mean?
Yeah, not why did they complain. Why didn't they, before they complained, try to pray to God himself?
I could be they did. It doesn't say that they didn't, but again, the Jewish people, it looks like, let's get this in perspective, gentlemen. The Jewish people look like they're always fetching. All right. It looks like the whole Chumash is just they're always complaining. Let's get something into proper perspective. In 40 years of the desert, there are only 10 complaints. You find me a pulpit rabbi would love to have that deal. 40 years in the desert and there are only 10 complaints. That's pretty good. And what are the complaints? We don't have food. We don't have water. These are not minor things. The Jewish people are being held to a very high standard here. It's not like in the shul where everybody's always going, I didn't get an aliyah. We're talking about people over here. The rabbi didn't say hello to me like Shabbos. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the Harold was sick and the rabbi never came to visit. We're talking about where the Jewish people are dying of people are thirsty. So they could be excused a little bit for being somewhat touchy. But at their level, when are you coming? Why are you coming with a complaint? Okay, let's go on to the next parsha. Now that we've taken care of Amalek, let's go on to the next parsha. By the way, that concept, the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos says, Hakina ve'ataiva ve'akavod motziin es ha'adam min ha'olam. They take a man out of the world. So understand there are two levels, there are several layers of what that means. First of all, by being involved with those things, they cause sin. Those are that takes the person out of the world to come because he's going to live a sinful life. But at another level, it takes a person out of this world. A person who's living his life based, he's motivated by envy. Chances are he's working too hard to keep up with his competitors. He's running down his health. And his envy may cause him to get involved in illegal activity, and he could actually terminate his life in this world. Physical desire, certainly. A person could end up with illnesses, a person could end up with AIDS, a person could end up chasing around somebody else's wife and getting shot by her husband because of his physical desires. That happens. It happens all the time. A person could end up in the pursuit of honor. You know, I made a calculation once that since 1960, 50% of the presidents of the United States have been shot at since 1960. 50%. I mean, if I'm off, maybe could be a few more needed to be shot at, but 50% since 1960, 50% of the presidents have been shot at, right? If 50% of accountants haven't been shot at, your chance of not getting shot at is better if you're an accountant than you're a president. So why does everybody want to be president? Well, I have Secret Service. Yeah, but you're putting yourself in a position where you know there are people who would like to shoot you. You know there are people, if you're an accountant, it's every once in a while, you know, the company, somebody could just say, I could kill the guy, but they don't really mean it. But the President of the United States is putting, why are you putting yourself, who needs it? What are you putting yourself in there? If the fact that you need Secret Service people around you means that what you're doing is a dangerous job, why would you want that? It's because the honor, the pursuit of the honor. Is that interesting? Do you know that in the time of the first Beis Hamikdash, you know how many Kohen Gadol there were at the time of the first Beis Hamikdash? First Beis Hamikdash stood for 410 years. You know how many Kohen Gadol there were? 18. 18 Kohen Gadol in a span of 410 years. That means each one averaged about 22 and a half years as Kohen Gadol. Average. Second Beis Hamikdash stood 420 years. You know how many Kohen Gadol there were? 300. Knock off Shimon HaTzadik, who was for 40 years. Yochanan Kohen Gadol, 80 years. So it comes out about 300 for 300 years. Do the math.
It's exactly 420 years.
300 for 300 years, the Gemara says. Do the math. You know, now what happened? The answer is that it was a political position that they were buying from the Greeks. They were paying off the Greeks to get the position. So the Kohen Gadol would go into the Holy of Holies. He didn't necessarily die in the Holy of Holies, even though there is a source that says that they attached a rope to him on Yom Kippur when he went into the Holy of Holies in case they heard a thud. And, you know, they did kind of pull him out and then send in the next guy, right? Which is already not a great, you know, with all that honor, you know, and it was a very position of tremendous honor. You're the Kohen Gadol, you're the head honcho, you got the chest plate and everything else. But just imagine how you feel as they're hooking you up. Why are you putting that rope on me? Well, you know, just in case. Just in case what? Well, just in case you die. Right? Oh, okay, well, lower me in, you know, and he'd go in. Now, those who didn't die in the Holy of Holies, and again, if the Kohen Gadol was not worthy, he entered the Holy of Holies, and if he was not worthy, he died in the course of the year. So understand something. I can understand the first guy. Okay, he went in, he died. Happens. The second guy, all right, it happens once in a while. The second guy dies within a year also. Happens. By the time you get to 3 or 4, you got to start picking up a pattern. In number 197, for sure, you know, hey, look back, buddy. Look what's happened to the 196 before you. Every one of them has died within the year. What do you think? What do you think is going on over here? The answer is that that's how blinding the honor is. So the kina, the taiva, and the kova takes you out of this world, not just the world to come. It takes you out of this world. How many people have died trying to get into the Guinness Book of World Records? They always do something they show you on the Guinness show. Now, kids at home, don't try this. This could be dangerous. And then you see some guy falling off a cliff. Ah! You know, that like, could be dangerous. It is dangerous. Yeah, you're darn right it's dangerous. So what are you doing it for? Yeah, people do funny things. For to say, how many people have died trying to climb Everest? For what? Yeah, I was the first one up there. You know, all right. Okay, that's great. You know, okay, shkoyach. Now what? Still got to go to work tomorrow morning. I mean, so what? But there's a deeper idea here, gentlemen. This is, if you understand this, then you can understand how to control them. You understand how to control them. When the commentary says, it takes you out of the world, when it says, it takes you out of this world, takes you out of the next world, it takes you out of the world of perspective. It takes you out of the world of perspective. When you're jealous of somebody, it's because you've lost total perspective of wow, guy's got a new car. He must just be oh so happy. He just can't sleep at night because he's buzzed with excitement over his new car. What you don't know is that the guy's a little disappointed because he thought he could get it from 0 to 80 faster. You know, he's just a little disappointed. And he can't even enjoy his car because it's off, slightly off. He wanted a certain shade of blue. He's not living that life of bliss that you think he is. Your envy is causing you to lose proportion. And the same thing when it comes to physical pleasure. Every physical pleasure in the world, you know, okay, you have in the imagination stage, it's like, oh, this is going to be unbelievable. And in the experience stage, it's generally a letdown. Generally a letdown, generally not what it's cracked up to be. The classic example I gave you was on Motzei Yom Kippur, you know, when you can't wait to get those 4 pieces of pizza and wedge them into your mouth, right? And it's just not quite what it's cracked up to be. Most of life experiences are like that. And the same thing when it comes to honor. Person gets the situation of honor, can't wait to get to that situation. If you got the honor, at a certain point, there's a feeling of, this is it. This is it. I mean, you know, this is it. And you're frustrated. You know, the guy in Chicago, Blagojevich, what was his name? How do you pronounce it? Blagojevich. Okay, so Blagojevich was quoted as saying to somebody on one of those telephone, wired telephone, he said to the guy, well, you know, how long do you think I'm going to be stuck in this job for? This is a governor of a state in America. A governor of a state, there are exactly 50 of them. They get a good salary, they live in a mansion, and most people wouldn't be describing it as stuck in a job. You know, like, how long do you think I'm going to stuck in this governor? Oh yeah, you're stuck, I'll trade with you, said the truck driver. You know, I'll be glad to trade with you, said the accountant. You know, you're stuck in a job? The answer is that you thought that this was going to be it. This was going to be the be-all and the end-all, right? And then you got there and you saw, okay, I'm sure in the beginning it was a lot of fun. It happens to every single guy who graduates from law school as well. Finally get your first job, you graduated, you got hired for your job, you're in the office on that first day, you're wearing your sharp suit and your tie, nobody even notices you. Hey kid, you want to get me a cup of tea? You know, and I said, okay, well that's not what I graduated law school for. And then you got your cubicle and you're working and everybody's taking advantage of you. After about 2 weeks, like, oh, this is it? After all that, this is it? There's a letdown because you ran away. It takes you out of the world of perspective. That's akina, v'ataya v'kobantzin. So if a person understands that, it makes it easier to control it. Then I realize that the desire isn't what it's cracked up to be, the honor isn't what it's cracked up to be, helps us get it a little bit under control. It's very, very true. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow.